So I'm not going to talk about property in this video, not at first anyway. I want to talk about something else, something that has nothing to do with rent to rent, HMOs, company-let, service accommodation, nothing. I want to talk about why most people who say they want to escape their job, who genuinely mean it, who aren't just venting after a bad Monday, never actually get around to doing it. They're not lazy people, right? I've mentored 385 students, and I can tell you with complete confidence that laziness is almost never the reason. And it's not because opportunities aren't there either, they are there. More now than at almost any point I can think of. The reason is psychological, and it's the same handful of patterns showing up in almost identical form, in person after person after person. So if you've ever said, one day I'll do something different, and then watched another year pass exactly the same as the last one, then this video is for you. So the first trap is the hardest one to see because it doesn't look like a trap. It looks like maturity. And here's how it sounds in someone's head. I've got a family to think about. I've got a mortgage. I can't take that risk right now. And on the surface, that sounds completely reasonable. Responsible people don't take reckless risks without their family's stability. That's absolutely true. But here's what's happening underneath that sentence. The job already feels safe, familiar, it's known. Even if some part of you is quietly furious about how your life looks right now, your brain has already filed it under safe, simply because it's familiar, not because it's actually good for you. And anything new, by definition, is unknown. Unknown gets filed under risk by default, regardless of how small that actual risk is. When someone says, I can't risk it, I've got responsibilities, what they're actually saying is, without realizing it, is the unfamiliar thing feels riskier than the familiar thing, even though I haven't actually compared them properly. So let me give you that comparison that nobody else is doing. The job that feels safe, what's the actual risk profile of that? You're dependent on one employer, one person above you who could restructure, downsize, or simply decide that they don't want you anymore. Your income has a ceiling that you don't control. Your time isn't yours. Someone else decides when you can take your kids to an appointment, when can you go on holiday, can you take some time out to go on sports day. One of the best things that I do is go to the sports day for two reasons. One, because I can outrun all of the dads, because everyone's got dad bod, no one looks after themselves, so I feel quite good about myself, smashing all of the other dads in the 100-meter sprint. And secondly, not that many dads go. That tells me they would love to be there, but they can't. So all of those things, that's not safety, that's just risk that you've stopped noticing because you've been living inside it for years. Building something on the side, a few hours a week around your job, learning a model like rent to rent that doesn't require you to quit anything or risk anything. That's not the reckless option. It's actually the more responsible one because it builds a second income stream while your job income stream stays exactly as safe as it currently is. So the comfort zone isn't comfortable because it's good. It's comfortable because it's what we know. It's familiar. And your brain doesn't tell you the difference between those two things unless you force it to look properly. But a lot of people don't know how to look at these things from a different perspective. The second trap is waiting for the right time. This is what I hear all of the time. One client joined me. They were waiting for the right time for 4 years. Even at the time of joining the mentorship, it still wasn't the right time. He gave up on waiting for the right time. That is the biggest thing. That is one of the biggest traps. I hear that version constantly. You know, once things settle down, once the kids are a bit older, once I've got a bit more savings behind me, once I feel more confident, I just got to learn a bit more. Right? Here's the truth about the right time. It does not arrive. The right time should never be the real destination to begin with. It's a story your brain tells you to justify exactly where you are. Think about it logically for a second, right? If you wait until work settles down, work will never permanently settle down. There will always be a new project, a new deadline, a new busy period right behind the current one. Also, if you wait for the kids to be a bit older, there will always be a new stage of parenting with its own demand. Toddlers need you in one way, teenagers need you in a completely different way. There's no age where parenting suddenly requires very little. A lot of parents say, you wait till they get older. Another thing is, if you wait until you've got more savings and you haven't actually started building any system to generate more income, where exactly is that extra saving meant to come from? So you're waiting for a condition that only changes if you act, but you're refusing to act until the condition changes. That's not a plan, guys. That's a loop. And I've seen people genuinely believe year after year that next year will be different. You see it in everybody's Facebook posts on New Year's Day. This year, I'll have more time, I'll have more money, I'll have more headspace, more certainty. And then that year arrives and somehow it looks remarkably similar to the year before. So here's what I tell people instead. The right time is not a feeling that arrives. It's a decision you make on an ordinary Tuesday. While everything is still slightly inconvenient, you still won't feel truly ready. The conditions are still relatively the same. Every single person that I've mentored who's built something real started before they felt ready. Every single one. There's never been a student who waited until everything was perfectly aligned and then they calmly began. Readiness is not a precondition for action. It's a byproduct of it. The third trap is specific to property, but the psychology underneath it applies to almost any ambition. So someone decides that they want to build wealth through property. It's a sensible decision. I made that decision. Then they decide that the only way to do that is save for a standard deposit, 20, 30,000 pounds, then buy a house a conventional way, right? So they start saving, and that's when it gets brutal mathematically. So on an average UK salary, after rent or mortgage, bills, food, the actual cost of simply existing, saving £30,000 takes years, if not decades. And that's if life doesn't interrupt the plan with anything unexpected, which it almost always does. And while that saving is happening, two things are working against the person doing it. Inflation, boom. That's quietly eroding the purchasing power of every single pound they're putting aside. And property prices, you stretch that over any meaningful stretch of time, they go up, meaning the deposit target they're saving toward today might not even be the deposit target by the time they've actually saved it. So people are running on a treadmill toward a finish line that keeps moving further away, and it's called the hedonic treadmill. You should look it up, you'll see what I mean. And guys, here's the part that really gets me. Many of the people running that race don't actually want to own property for the sake of owning it. They want to own property for what it represents: more income, more security, control, success. But they've decided that's the only path to that outcome, the traditional one, the old-fashioned one, and they've committed years of their life to a strategy that's mathematically working against them the entire time. This is exactly why I built my business around a completely different model. But look, listen, I don't disagree with the traditional property investing. I just think it's very slow and capital heavy, and a lot of people are going to struggle to get there. It's mainly because there is other ways to access income, control, and the early benefits of property without needing 30, 40, 50,000 pounds sitting in the bank account first. You don't need to own a building to control its income. And I can go into that in massive depths in other videos. But for now, the point I want you to sit with is this. If your entire plan for a better future depends on saving targets that takes a better part of a decade to hit, you don't have a plan. You have hope dressed up as a plan. That depends on inflation and house prices behaving kindly. They rarely do. The fourth trap is one I see most often in people who are actually the most capable of succeeding: analysis paralysis. These are not unintelligent people, quite the opposite. They're sharp, they're thoughtful, they want to understand everything properly before they commit to anything, which sounds like exactly the right instinct, but here's where it all comes crumbling down. It goes wrong, right? They start researching, they watch videos, they read about the model, they start researching the edge cases. What happens if it goes wrong? What happens in this specific scenario? What happens if the market shifts? What if this particular thing happens that's quite unlikely but theoretically possible? Every piece of certainty they gain about one part of the process reveals uncertainty about another part that they hadn't thought to consider yet. And so the research never concludes. It just keeps expanding outwards, because there is always more to know about anything if you go looking for it. So I want to tell you something important about this pattern, because I think it's the kindest and also the most honest thing I can say. Researching isn't actually about gathering information anymore at this point. It's about avoiding the moment where you have to act without complete certainty, because acting without complete certainty feels exposed. It feels like there's a chance you could get it wrong, or you could be wrong in public as well, where people might see it. Information feels safe because it requires nothing from you except from just consumption. Action feels dangerous because it requires you to find out. So I want to help you guys out if you're stuck in that pattern. You cannot think your way to certainty about something you haven't tried yet. It does not exist. There is no amount of additional research that will produce a feeling of readiness you're waiting for, because that feeling only arrives after you've started, not before. Every person I've worked with who escaped analysis paralysis did it the same way. They picked one specific small action. One phone call, one viewing, one conversation, and did it before they felt ready, and they felt incredible after. That's progress. You don't have to be the bravest person in the room to do that. You just have to decide the discomfort of acting without certainty is smaller than the cost of another year of exactly where they are. So here's what these 4 traps actually have in common, because I don't think it's obvious until you see them side by side. The comfort zone disguised as responsibility. That's waiting for the perfect time. Saving forever for a standard deposit. Analysis paralysis. Every single one of them is the brain protecting you from a feeling, not from the actual danger. There is no danger. The feeling of risk, the feeling of imperfect timing, the feeling of financial inadequacy, the feeling of uncertainty. None of those are dangers. They're feelings. Uncomfortable ones, yeah, but feelings. Not threats to your survival. And your brain, which evolved over hundreds of thousands of years to keep you alive in genuinely dangerous environments, still treats those uncomfortable feelings as threats worth avoiding at almost any cost, including the cost of years of your life spent exactly where you already are. So here's what I want you to take from this video more than anything else, right? Every person I've worked with who actually escaped their job, who built something real, who replaced an income they thought was unreplaceable, who got their evenings and weekends back, every single one of them felt exactly the same fear as you're feeling right now. Guys, they're not braver than you. They're not anyone special. They're just standard, everyday, hard-working people that just got to a point where they're fed up and wanted out. They have no advantages over you. They simply decided on an ordinary day that the discomfort of acting was worth it. And they acted before any of the 4 traps had fully resolved themselves, because none of them fully resolve. You don't wait for them to disappear. You act while they're still there. That's the actual skill. Not confidence, not certainty, not the perfect plan, just the willingness to move while everything still feels slightly unready. So I'm not going to tell you what to do in the next video. I'm not going to pitch you anything. I'm not going to ask you to comment a word or click a link. I just want you to sit with one question for a minute after this video ends. Which of those 4 traps is the one keeping you exactly where you are right now? The comfort zone you've called responsibility, the perfect time you're still waiting for, the deposit you're still saving towards, or the research that never quite concludes. Whichever one it is, I think you already know. The question now is, what are you going to do about it?